out the Tahm Kench, the Irelia, and the Varus. So FlyQuest saying, look, we hated both parts of your bottom lane, and we don't want to deal with either of them again.
Wasn't just the Tahm Kench. We also were not okay with you one-shotting our AD.
Yeah, we were equally as tilted by the 2-shot on our Kog'Maw at the end of the game, so we would rather avoid that reality here again.
Can't blame them.
I can't either. That is not exactly a big counterplay type of situation where I guess you could just dodge the arrow. Just dodge the arrow, man.
Yep.
That's all you got to do. But Golden Guardians will now ban out Ryze as their final ban here this time around. Let's see how FlyQuest want to start things off. Last time, it was Lissandra. We'll see if that's what they want to go for here again, or if maybe they're thinking, okay, that pick was pretty well countered. We weren't able to do much with it. Let's try something else, and apparently they will. It's first pick Jayce.
Yeah, first pick Jayce there. Very likely going to be for Viper, as we have been certainly seeing a lot more of the top lane Jayce, but I do have to mention that we have seen it mid, jungle, and bot throughout this split for different teams, so there is the possibility that it will be flexed around, and we actually haven't seen Viper play a single Jayce game so far this split. Actually, no one on FlyQuest has played a Jayce game so far this split, so will be a first for someone. But certainly if you do watch Viper play, if you watch his stream, Jayce is one of his preferred picks, and he is very good at it.
Well, over on the side of Golden Guardians, it's going to be Galio and Jarvan locked in. The dunk bucket. Jarvan makes the bucket, and Galio dunks you in it with the ultimate combination.
Okay.
So we'll see how well this works out. Galio, remember, most commonly played in the support role these days. But also worth noting, Olleh doesn't have any games on it so far this split.
Yeah, and it is also worth pointing out, we have been seeing recently somewhat of a shift back towards a bit of Galio mid lane. So do have to consider that it could be Froggen, though it does not feel at all like a Froggen pick.
No.
This is not the kind of farm it up, scale till late, be a beast later on style of pick. This is something that you have to be much more proactive with in the early stages. That's not to say he can't play it though, and he does have one game on early in the split that he did play that Galio kind of before some of the changes that did really push it towards that support role. Either way though, very, very strong engage drafted up in the first couple picks here for Golden Guardians, and it will be the Elise coming through for Santorin. So something that can be very proactive in those early levels. It is one of the strongest early game junglers, I feel, as far as ganking. Also, when I see Jayce and I see Elise as a top laner, there's almost nothing I actually want to play. Like, you're going to be pushed in, they're going to be bullying you as the Jayce, and then you have probably the best diving jungler early on to be paired with that, so that is terrifying for Hauntzer, and going to put a lot of onus on him to be playing safe, to be playing smart, and not get smashed.
Yeah, if you're playing top lane against this in solo queue, you just accidentally dodge, grab yourself a sandwich, queue up again in 5 minutes.
Or, alternatively, just blame the jungler if you get dove. He wasn't there.
Exactly. I've been the jungler on the receiving end of that. OMG Skarner, why not up here? I'm level 2, bro, sorry.
I'm on my first camp, died solo. Give me a minute.
Golden Guardians is saying, all right, if you don't want the Lissandra this time around, we're going to go ahead and take it. Also, another wonderful champion to combo with the Galio ultimate. Go in with the Claw. Galio comes in, slam dunking behind you. FlyQuest will ban out Kalista this time around. Golden Guardians banning out the Zoe.
I will say it's pretty exciting, actually, to see such a different look in the second draft here from Golden Guardians. Like, this is so heavily dive and engage from all of their first 3 picks. They are certainly showcasing a different style. This could be a Froggen Lissandra. It also could be going up to Hauntzer on the top side if he did want to play that. I will say, though, before you are level 6, that is a champion that is very, very diveable by Jayce and Elise. We'll see if they can play around that, though. Jarvan does have good counter gank potential. If Elise is to repel in for a gank, you certainly are very vulnerable to that Flag and Dragon getting counter ganked. So we're going to have to see where they want to go with these last couple picks.
I really, really like this insta-locked-in Lucian on the side of Golden Guardians. What I was about to say before that was, for Golden Guardians draft, I really don't want to see some hang-back artillery-style AD carry. Everybody else is going in, and you need to get on the party bus.
You know what? It'd be interesting if this is a Froggen Lissandra and Hauntzer wants to go for something, a little bit more out of the ordinary. I do think Kale on 9.6 is incredibly strong, and yes, you would get punished in those early levels, but being able to actually just E-trade with the Klepto, and in the later stages for the dive, having a Kale ultimate on one of these divers is incredibly strong. Not sure if he's going to be willing to go for it, but even something like a Malphite, if you want to play a more safe style, can be very strong, but it's going to be Swain for Pobelter, likely.
I like this pick.
Okay.
Swain and Braum put together are great counter initiators for all the dive coming out from Golden Guardians. Ezreal is slippery as all hell for an AD carry. Very difficult to get on top of. And Golden Guardian's final pick, as you said, it's the Yorick.
So Yorick is actually a pick that I do believe is a good matchup into Jayce, and it's something that I've played a tremendous amount and really do kind of pretty strongly feel that it's a strong pick. That being said, still winless in the LCS throughout the entire split. We have had a whole split long of people playing this pick. Not even one win really has been picked up. So people have been struggling to play with it, struggling to play around it. I will say, as far as the Jayce versus Yorick matchup goes, Yorick needs some levels. The early levels are always going to be very heavily in Jayce's favor. That being said, once you are, something like 4 or 5, whatever, you can start actually getting those ghouls out every time you hit that Jayce with it. Jayce is not having a lot of sustain in his kit, not building lifesteal. You can actually poke him down with the ghouls. You can cage him up. And once you are actually in a position where you can win that all in, the hammer form is the only way he can get out of that besides flash, and that is an aggressive tool, not a defensive retreat style tool. So Yorick can be very strong post 6 in that 1v1.
Loading into the second game now. I know I am specifically going to be looking at Santorin on FlyQuest, on an early game playmaker on Elise. When you have a volatile split push matchup to influence, when you have a hard dive enemy team composition that if set behind will not be able to play to their win condition, there is a lot of weight on your shoulders to carry that one through the early game.
Yeah, and I'm looking at not only the junglers, but the top laners, right? I think that a huge amount of this game can be decided in the first 10 minutes in 2v2 top. Because if one side puts their split pusher massively ahead, it's going to be so hard for either Jayce or Yorick to claw their way back into this game. It's so imperative that people get the roams off the top lane, that they protect their top laners from potential dives or ganks, because that is such a swingy matchup, and both those champions are just abysmal from behind.
All right, as the players make their way out onto the Rift and the chants begin from the audience, let's check in with another sideline report. This time, Olleh standing by with an arrow.
Thanks, Flowers. Anero, during game 1, we heard Invert say that he felt really good about his draft because he baited out the Urgot and the Karthus from you guys, but I mean, you wiped the floor with them in game 1. So what do you think about the draft so far, both in game 1 and game 2?
Draft's been pretty good. We're getting everything we're happy with, so if it's baiting us into it, I mean, we're getting what we want. So if we're winning doing that, cool. They can keep doing that, in my opinion.
I love the coach mind games. But Anero, thank you so much, and best of luck to you and the team. Back to you guys.
Minions have spawned.
Even if we get baited, as long as we win, all rats, we got baited. I can agree with him on that sort of a philosophy. As we're on to Summoner's Rift here, I want to see specifically, because we're talking about FlyQuest and we're talking about the difference that you have to have going into playoffs. And I mean, there are some veteran names on this roster when you look at like Pobelter and WildTurtle, but we already mentioned how Viper's still pretty fresh blood in the LCS. And when you're off to a shaky start like that first game, I want to see how well these guys bounce back.
Yeah, the bounce back is going to be huge. I mean, we all saw what happened in game number 1. Getting solo killed there, slowly dying without actually activating the Aatrox ultimate. That was huge, right? He got put so far behind, and that set the pace for a lot of the rest of the game. So we're going to have to see how he's going to be able to bounce back here in game number 2. Also worth pointing out is a Spellbook Swain, so very atypical there. My guess here is he wants to be able to have access to something like the Cleanse without actually giving up TP. So, you can actually, at your 6 minutes or so mark, you can swap over to the Cleanse and have a bit of an answer to that Lissandra. Having some of those combat summoners can be very powerful in the fights, but as far as your laning phase, it is generally weaker, without something like the Grasp or the Aerie to allow you to scrap a little bit more.
All other summoner spells are pretty standard. You do see the Jarvan with the Electrocute. Sometimes there's a couple different options taken on that one, but wants to go for the more damage-heavy gank power this time around. Froggen on the losing into some trades, even without Pobelter having a combat summoner, combat keystone, I should say.
I mean, hitting those never moves is always going to be such a powerful trade. You yank them back in, you get that soul shard that you're pulling out, which is actually giving you a heal as well. So there's some very effective trading that is going down here from Pobelter, but it looks to me that Froggen is just prioritizing the shove, right? He's just trying to actually push this in so heavily to be able to threaten side lanes, to be able to threaten answering at the scuttle. And they will see Santorin over here, so they're going to get eyes on him.
Santorin does have Smite to make sure he gets this crab. He does go for it, doesn't want to risk Froggen jumping in there and stealing that one away.
It is going to feel nice, at least, though, on the side of Hauntzer, to know that Elise is not in the brush, waiting to actually dive you. Contractz is behind him. So Jayce is now put in a little bit of an awkward situation where they don't have eyes on the enemy jungler. And he's got to be kind of careful, because if he gets caged in here, slowed down, he could actually go down, and the ghouls are ready to come out now.
Speaking of that enemy jungler, Contractz top side, and You can tell that Viper knew something was up by the movements of the Yorick. He took a couple steps past that normal line of safety, so he errs on the side of caution, which is actually no error at all in this case because Contractz was right there. Mid lane, you can see plenty of minions built up now. Pobelter's wave will naturally shove back towards his opponent after being under the turret there for a while.
I mean, it's a smart thing to be actually tracked there by Viper, right? If someone is playing so defensively the whole lane and they're just kind of randomly stepping forward, it does
It's a red flag.
give you an inkling there. As you say, it's a red flag that perhaps the jungler is coming. Even if it is just kind of a little bit of a bluff, hey, it's worth stepping back. It's worth actually paying some credence to that and not falling behind in a matchup that is going to be so pivotal when you're going into later stages. It's going to decide the side lane. It's going to decide who has that split push advantage. And there's no Tahm Kench to swing it back this time. So you have to really watch out for that, especially when you don't have as much side lane assistance and the other team has Galio and Froggen who can roam up here on the Lissandra. It feels like Hauntzer is going to get more help.
Talking about the Galio specifically, I want to shift the lens over to Olleh here for a moment because he had a good game last game. We applauded his Tahm Kench play. He helped the team get around. He made sure they always had the numbers advantage. He had the saves when he needed to have the saves. And Olleh's a player who has come under fire so far this split. In some of Golden Guardian's worst games, it's his performances that people have called out and said there were some mechanical errors here, there were some decision-making errors here. And so for Olleh especially, I think this is about proving yourself. Because remember, this is the guy who was the support on the Team Liquid that won back-to-back splits. This guy was part of a very successful roster, and this is your opportunity now to be a part of this crew that has these members from other big teams and say, oh yeah, it wasn't just the rest of Team Liquid. I'm here and I can make all this happen.
And I think that's something that's has to be a bit of a frustration for Olleh when you're thinking it's not even just TL, right? He was actually at Worlds with Immortals, made a finals. He had been to playoffs, has had all the success, was voted actually best support in the league when he was on Immortals. And yet there still are so many questions thrown at him. There's so many criticisms thrown towards him. But this is his third team in as many years, and he's on playoffs on all of them, right? So certainly there is some credit that is deserved by him, and we'll see if he's going to be able to kind of prove some of the doubters wrong moving forward, as a lot of people are speculating that it's going to be TL choosing whoever is the winner from this, right? That it is going to be FlyQuest or Golden Guardians who have to face TL. And there's guys on both sides that want to prove to TL that they made the wrong choices, right? You're looking at Pobelter and Olleh, two people who were cast aside after winning back-to-back championships with Team Liquid.
Now Golden Guardians deciding they're going to take a fight here. Olleh going in with the initiation. Justice Punch into the flash into the taunt. JayJ going to be taken very low, nearly getting himself killed, but somehow getting out. First blood over to Contractz. Golden Guardians grab themselves one, but can they get anything else? Hauntzer going to be kept alive, just barely off to the side, surviving the onslaught from Santorin. Contractz is low, but not dead just yet. Santorin, he grabs himself a revenge kill and takes out the enemy top laner.
Nicely done there by Santorin. Big kill to be able to grab on Hauntzer. When Hauntzer had to actually TP down to that, his wave is pretty screwed in the top lane. It's actually stacking and pushing towards Viper. He lost his ultimate, he lost his summoners, so that is going to be helping out Viper quite a bit. That is a fat wave that will push in for Viper to grab.
Juicy, juicy money waiting here for the Jayce, who will be walking his way back up to the top side. And let's take another look at how this fight started. It was Olleh pulling the trigger.
Early Ocean Dragon here. They start up, and in they go. Flash hunt onto multiple members there. JayJ, just barely squeaking out, but does fall down to that red buff burn. And Pobelter coming in here with the Swain ultimate up is such a hard target to actually re-engage onto, because if you do not have the burst, you cannot actually finish off that fight. You cannot fully commit to it. And it does result in just the 1-for-1 kill and no side being able to claim that dragon.
I really like the flash before the taunt coming out from Olleh, because he knows if the opponent Braum flashes out, my flash follows him and catches him anyway. Even if he doesn't, this is guaranteeing I also grab turret.
Yep.
Really good positioning there.
Was very well done, and now it's going to be a sneaky dragon here from Santorin, who actually just repel over the wall, straight down to the dragon. He's going to be able to basically solo this one up. That is an 8-minute Ocean. Very, very big for these guys when you're looking at all of these mana-hungry members on this side, right? It's 5 mana bars you're looking at on FlyQuest. Ezreal going to be really, really happy about that. Jayce as well. It's going to give him the sustain to shrug off some of the harassment that can come through with ghouls and can make any lane matchup much more difficult, but particularly these really closely kind of tuned ones.
And talking about mana and Ezreal, I also want to point out as a gank is about to start here in the top side. We'll see if they decide to go with this.
3-man top.
Hauntzer and Contractz just buying a couple extra moments, waiting for Froggen to show up. Now they're going to be starting things off. EQ combo goes through, damage comes in, and Viper goes home in a body bag. Ladies and gentlemen, Golden Guardians grab their second kill of the game.
Yeah, that is really well done. You want to pay attention to these side lanes. I talked about how critical it's going to be, and this time it's not only Contractz, but it's Froggen coming up, and I think they might know Santorin is around. We'll see if they want to go for a repeat, but looks like they're just stealing away the blue buff as Santorin comes up here to clear this out. So really well done by Golden Guardians.
It can be kind of sloppy to dive in Elise as well because she has the ability to repel and make you take extra turret shots, so I can understand not going for that one. That does mean Pobelter gets some alone time with the mid lane tier 1, which means more plates going his way. Despite the fact that it's a kill lead for Golden Guardians, it's still an overall gold lead for the side of FlyQuest, as Froggen is not where he wants to be in this fight.
Nope, getting chunked out pretty heavily there, but to his credit, pretty much dead even in farm. He's the one that makes the roam, affecting that side lane split push. Now, this is a bit of a different look than what you expect from Froggen, right? He's so known for playing these incredible late game carries, for farming and prioritizing himself, but this game, he's going to be taking more of a backseat role, right? It's more about roaming and initiating and kind of giving up for the rest of your squad when you are playing this Lissandra. So far, he's doing well with that.
Talking about late game, what I was going to mention before we saw the play on the top side, remember, 9.6, new patch, new changes. One of the biggest of most is you can no longer have double tier items. This affects a grand total of 1 champion in the entire game, which happens to be Ezreal. You will no longer see the double tier stacking, hyper late game scaling, Seraph's Embrace plus Muramana build. Instead, he'll have to go with something else after that first tier is completed.
Yeah, and we are seeing some different looks as to what that something else is. Some players are going back to a more heavily AD style build, just getting something like a Merc Scimitar as that 4th item, and trading again back in the mid lane, but there are also still options that are kind of more similar to what you were doing before. You can actually go a Luden's in place of that Seraph's, and yes, you are not going to have that shield for the additional safety, but it is a very high poke style build. It's still 20% CDR, as well as the proc on it can be pretty powerful if you want to kind of itemize more heavily towards AP and the pokey builds.
FlyQuest currently enjoying a 1,500 gold lead over Golden Guardians early on in this game. Clearly having a much better time around this time than they did in game number 1. Rod of Ages up and running on the Swain. Wonderful item to have done super early because the sooner it's completed, the sooner you can hit that 10 minutes later point where it becomes ridiculously cost effective and makes you very durable in the fight.
Yeah, a couple turret plates going the way of Pobelter are going to help him complete that very quickly. You can see Santorin has been power farming up quite a lot in that regard, plus has the kill to his name. So 3-man top again, though. Elise is running up here, but probably going to be too late once more.
Could be some bad news, but instead the teleport coming in scares away Golden Guardians, and they will not make the play.
Hey, that's still a great play. Actually being able to force out that TP, back off without any sort of commitment. Pobelter does kill off the Maiden of the Mist there, which was a pretty big deal because you can actually recall, take it back to base, and have it heal up. And Yorick's laning power is so much lower without it, but still, I like the roam. And they do get out the teleport for it, but it's FlyQuest starting up this Rift Arrow. We'll see if Golden Guardians want to try to challenge this. I think it would be a bit ill-advised when Yorick has no ultimate available. Your 3v3 power is going to be severely diminished.
They will scare FlyQuest away from it.
Okay.
I do like the call from FlyQuest to try to take it at least,
Yeah.
get something out of the fact that you committed a teleport and some resources up towards the top side. Won't succeed on making that. What happened? Olleh coming right back into the fight. 2 versus 2 bottom side. Taunt.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, flash away there from WildTurtle, anticipating Golden Guardians to take it further.
Yeah, and that's going to be feeling really good. Now you're up the flash, so Turtle has to be really careful about potential taunt flash, especially if multiple members are roaming down. You could send Froggen down to the bottom lane now, set that up very easily with the taunt flash into a Lissandra ultimate. There's certainly possibility to punish this Ezreal with the composition that Golden Guardians has.
Golden Guardians will just continue farming up right now. Still working towards that Blade of the Ruined King here for Deftly's Lucian. Wants to get that item probably before they go in for any major hard engages. Froggen will continue losing out in these 1v1 trades here in the mid lane. Pobelter has gone past that level 9 mark where the Death's Hand is on that very spammable cooldown point, so he can easily shove up the waves and trade very effectively in these extended engagements.
Pobelter really has been running the lane, but farm is even and Froggen is roaming elsewhere, so the big advantage he's been getting is the turret plates, right? And there is only that 1.5 or so remaining. you know, when you count that last one that you get for actually killing off the turret. So Pobelter trying to cash in on that advantage, and we may see them have to look for some sort of a play around him, because you know, giving up a solo first turret to that Swain is going to be pretty detrimental. You talked about how powerful the kind of counter engage Swain acts as. When Swain really does get going, he becomes so tanky, so oppressive, if you can't hit that break point where you can burst him down through his ultimate.
Plus, that's now 2 Elemental Drakes going the way of FlyQuest. Just a couple moments ago, you saw Santorin secure yet another here for this squad. Ocean plus Cloud under their belts now, as Pobelter wants to try to get that final plate, that second to last plate, I should say, but unfortunately, just going to be a few seconds shy of being able to make that one happen as Froggen shows up in time to clear the lane. Luden's Echo completed on this Lissandra for the extra burst power now.
Yeah, extra CDR as well, going to be pretty impactful. Having the additional ultimate cooldown is going to be feeling really, really nice for them there. But so far, pretty quiet game. You can see, though, Hauntzer, you're going to be feeling good about your position here as Yorick. He's working quickly towards that Triforce. Yorick is not behind by any means, and I definitely feel like when he hits Triforce, he's going to be in a position to actually be able to win these 1v1s. Now with the ultimate up for Yorick, they can just start up the Rift Herald, and if you can grab that, you may be able to kind of steal away that first turret gold from FlyQuest, who has had Pobelter working away at that this whole time.
And remember, it was Golden Guardians who last game also stole away first turret, because FlyQuest were the ones with Rift Herald in pocket. Golden Guardians made the play in the top side to get that first. We'll see if they can manage to grab something before a stiff breeze hits that mid lane turret of the side of Golden Guardians and blows it over. Rift Herald was picked up on the Jarvan for Contractz, so he can take it to any lane he wants. Top side, Santorin helping Viper make sure they maintain control over this lane. Make sure Golden Guardians doesn't just walk up, drop the Herald, and bail.
Yep, and this should be Triforce now for Hauntzer. He has a lot of gold in the bag. Recalls, he's going to refill that mana and come right back with the Triforce. He now should be winning that 1v1. Triforce Tabby's certainly a lot stronger breakpoint right now than just sitting on that Black Cleaver. But you have Pobelter here working away diligently at this turret, getting it very, very low. Might not quite be able to finish it off here, but
2 more autos.
Really, really close. And with Elise in his back pocket, you could just walk up potentially with just range form and Elise, help push in the wave, and try to finish it off. And I think that's maybe why they're moving Jayce, threatening that roam down and trying to play around this. They really want to secure first turret.
JayJ also threatening towards the enemy jungle in the blue buff, forcing them to hang around. True Shot Barrage nearly steals that one away, but Golden Guardians will lose the mid lane tier 1 now. Nice lead coming out from FlyQuest after they managed to secure that. Froggen will continue clearing out the waves, and with the turret down, I guess at least you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not like Pobelter is going to be pressing up onto the tier 2 on his own. Olleh going in into the bottom side, looking to make this play happen. It's going to be 3 versus 2. Galio coming in there. The dunk bucket! He won't be able to make the dunk happen, but they already got the kill anyway.
Hauntzer.
Golden Guardians looking to make even more happen. Viper grabbing the snipe shot onto Olleh. Santorin is going to be squished. That spider's out of there, and Golden Guardians pick up 2 for 1.
Yeah, Hauntzer going to give him the shovel there, smacking him down as the punish did come through right before Turtle got the flashback. We talked about it when it was forced out. Olleh able to force that flash earlier, punishes it now, and JayJ couldn't get run down.
JayJ trying to run himself away, has to use the flash to get out of that one. Barely escapes the kitty cage, has to flash away from the flag of the Jarvan. And that is going to be turret over to the side of Golden Guardians, who strike back.
Yep, and they even have Froggen just resetting the wave top side, so that is going to be coming back towards Hauntzer. Both top laners picked up a kill there. And you can see Hauntzer going to be building towards more of a teamfight style here, picking up that cowl. But this, we'll watch this replay one more time, as they know Turtle has no flash. Olleh, though, in he goes. Flash, follow, gets him taunted right on the buffer, so he's pulled back in, locked up for Contractz. The Galio ultimate not able to come through, though, as he did get stunned out by JayJ, and then everyone arrives. Viper sniping down Olleh, but Santorin next to follow.
Good plays coming out from Golden Guardians, once again, seeming to have everybody on the same train of thought. This looks like a coordinated squad. This looks like a squad that wants to make a run in playoffs.
It really does. Their team play has been so impressive here today. They are always seeming to actually work together to punish these cooldowns being used to actually effectively pull off roams and answer plays that the opponents are pulling off. So far so good, but it is very close as far as the gold goes. 2 dragons are on the side of FlyQuest. It's just going to help them out somewhat. And, you know, they do have answers in the counter engage.
Important distinction to make between this game and last game. Last game, the Drakes were Mountain, Infernal. This time it's Ocean, Cloud, Cloud. So the combat effectiveness of the Drakes not quite the same. Pobelter could be in some trouble here going into the ultimate. CC coming through. Contractz brings out the Cataclysm. Pobelter still staying alive. Contractz nearly killed. True Shot Barrage will take him out as Froggen's forced to flash out over the wall. JayJ will fall. The Golden Guardians just took way too damn long trying to kill that Swain.
Yeah, I mean, that is Contractz. He's full tank, right? And you have a Galio there who is also, you know, full tank. This is not an AP Galio. They have very little damage there. Ignite was not available from Olleh. That is a risky play to try to go for. You did not hit that damage threshold, so Pobelter just charges up the ultimate, and they're able to actually trade back a kill. Still, though, it is one kill going to the side of either team as JayJ fell there as well.
Top side, Golden Guardians.
Ultimate this time.
Trying to do it again. However, Zhonya's Hourglass exists, and Pobelter is once again just fine. Golden Guardians going way too far in this time. There's your never move. Olleh's in some trouble trying to get out with the Justice Punch, but the retaliation comes through for FlyQuest.
Yeah, nicely done. Maybe not taking into consideration the fact that Turtle, the Ezreal, could actually TP in to turn that around. So FlyQuest with a good punch back of their own. Now up a member, we'll go for this, and here's the play one more time. So, you know, nice dodge out on the flag and drag. Most of the initial burst is actually spent, but again, it's after Shock Lissandra, it's tank Jarvan, it's tank Galio. They didn't have their biggest sources of damage, the Lucian and the Yorick actually there, and they didn't have any sort of healing debuff on Pobelter, so Pobelter just stands strong. And although they do take down JayJ, they are able to grab, I would say, the bigger kill in the jungler.
Now, this is the kind of game I think most people were expecting coming into this series between these two teams. Very close, very much back and forth. Plays being made by both sides. FlyQuest definitely seemed to be fumbling in game number 1, but have found that footing here in number 2. As a teleport will be made into the mid lane. Pobelter showing up to hold this turret as long as possible.
And very interesting, we are going to see Turtle actually going for the Ludens, unless this is a double tier build and he doesn't realize that the patch has changed, but I am going to
I literally don't think you can build the item.
Okay, so then it has to be a Ludens coming out here. So this is kind of something that I have felt really does fit well in that same slot if you do want to play the same style. You don't have the shield, but you're trading essentially survivability for additional damage with that pickup, and you know, it allows you to play the same way you were playing the old style of Ezreal, so I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's something that very likely will come into more popularity as time goes on.
Yeah, I seem to remember a significant chunk of the player base being upset that they could no longer buy 6 tiers when they're 0 and 8 spamming FFs at 15, so I'm pretty sure the item is actually hard locked out of inventory once you have the first one or evolution of it in that item selection already. So, FlyQuest, not able to build that second tier. We'll see if it's
protecting the players from themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike Lifeline, which you can still troll.
Yeah, you're still allowed, for some reason, to build multiple Lifeline items, and I feel like maybe we should put a big red marker on the screen that says, don't build this, you already have it.
I kind of like when it's in there, so you can just tell who reads patch notes and who, you know, if that follows or not.
It's the did you read check.
Yeah.
But right now, Golden Guardians and FlyQuest, everybody's trying to get a read on exactly what the next move is going to be. FlyQuest are thinking maybe Golden Guardians make some kind of a move mid lane. That turret is very vulnerable. They've got multiple people here ready in case GGS tries to engage. You can see Contractz and Olleh both off to the side here. JayJ is the man who's died twice already on the side of FlyQuest. That's the guy that Golden Guardians have been successful picking up. Top side, Froggen on this Lissandra. It just doesn't seem as impactful as Froggen on the Karthus. It doesn't seem, as you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the potential of a Galio mid, it doesn't seem as stylistically appropriate for Froggen. When you think of Froggen, you think of that big carry, right? The muscle of the team. Lissandra, much more of a supportive type of role. Contractz forced to flash over the wall to keep himself safe there. True Shot Barrage flies out and is going to take him very low. Likely sending him home for that one.
Yeah, and you do always have to be worried now with Baron out on the map for 22 minutes. You get chunked down too low. Could be the other team trying to start up Baron. And one of the things, though, to Froggen's credit, while he hasn't looked as strong so far this game as compared to Karthus, he's had some good roams up to the top side, and Hauntzer is in a comfortable position. So you kind of have to see, is Hauntzer going to be able to pay that back? Is he going to be able to get a solo kill? Start knocking down turrets, right? Start making plays happen, because that's what they want to go for, but Froggen's going in.
Mid lane is JayJ once again going to be in some trouble. Beaten up, locked down, nearly taken out. Ignite going to be taken, and he's out of there. Contract's now going to be taken very low just now. And Olleh is the next one exploded here in the middle of the team fight. A nice shot from Viper to finish off Contractz, and that is 2 for 1 FlyQuest.
Yep, and not enough damage to actually focus down Pobelter, so Swain stands strong. It is 2 for 1. Jungler still alive here for FlyQuest. We'll see how much they can actually try to take from this. They're going to get at least this tier 2 tower. Do they go to Baron now? The answer looking like no.
This is some serious deja vu, Azael. We have been here before. Every single time they try to go after this Swain, he's just too hard to kill.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of consistent DPS actually built into this Golden Guardians team. So you're going to have to try to avoid this Swain. I think it was a very intelligent pick into this sort of squad. And now Hauntzer picked off.
Oh, there comes the damage. Jayce and Elise combined. That's that wombo combo we were talking about. It might not be laning phase, but that still stings.
Yeah, 24 minutes in. They do pull it off. They knock down Hauntzer. And now Olleh caught out here. You got to be careful.
Concussive blows stacking up. Would need one more for the stun, but won't be able to find it. Olleh gets himself away, but let's take another look here at the mid lane fight.
Yep, here's the play. They're going in for JayJ, who was actually separated out from the team, and they are able to burst him down, expending the Ignite, which does tick through and kills him off. But then again, who is going to kill Pobelter here? That's a tank Jarvan. It's Lissandra, who is not having a tremendous amount of high DPS. So, as members do start to fall, Deftly and Hauntzer and Froggen cannot stay around and try to focus down Pobelter, who still even had the Zhonya's up and available. And now this is Swain. 3 full items completed, significantly ahead of that pacing coming out of Froggen here on the Lissandra. This guy is just getting so damn hard to take down. He's building up quite a bit of health between the Roa and the Leandries to actually not be able to be burst down instantly either. So yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with. You have to feel like it needs to be more about the split, but we haven't seen them continue.
If you can't kill him here, you're never going to kill him, period. Golden Guardians trying to make it happen. Pobelter the target. Over the wall goes WildTurtle, looking to make something happen. Santorin grabbing the kill onto Froggen. And FlyQuest turn this one around real quick. It's 3 dead for Golden Guardians. And FlyQuest call the Baron.
Yep, that is straight onto the Baron. They keep trying to make these plays happen. Pobelter sat on cleanse that whole time. He was not threatened whatsoever. Still had both summoners up. Not even close to knocking him down. And they just cannot deal with Pobelter here whatsoever. And that may be all that FlyQuest needed to try to close this one out now. They are very far ahead. I'm going to be looking to make it a play. So again, in they go. Definitely is here this time, but Zhonya is buying so much time. He's healing up off of them, vamping up. And in comes FlyQuest. It's 5 members up here. Hauntzer doesn't have DP. He's not in the area. No chance for them to win this fight. They weren't even close to killing Pobelter.
This Swain is truly the X factor of game number 2. Every single time Golden Guardians has tried to make any sort of a play with Pobelter involved, it does not work.
And that is why I don't understand Golden Guardians being so fixated on trying to make plays around him. Early in the game, we saw multiple roams to the side lane to try to get Hauntzer ahead. Why have we not seen any attacks on Hauntzer in the last 15 minutes when you have Galio, when you have Lissandra? You need to commit to that side lane style. Pull them apart. Be picking off the Jayce, getting a monumental advantage for the Yorick so it doesn't become about the team fight. Instead, they've opted into these team fights. Pobelter has been more than equal to the task, and now it feels like FlyQuest fully in the driver's seat.
And when you're into a team fight, even if you're saying, all right, I guess we're going to team fight with Yorick, you're up against a Braum and an Ezreal and a Swain. Yeah, Yorick's going to walk at you with his shovel, have a big, mean look on his face, and then die. The champion cannot really do anything in those giant 5v5s, and now FlyQuest are set up. They're in bottom lane, they're in mid lane, using the 4-1 split here with the Baron buff. Mid lane tier 3 nearly taken down already. Maiden going to be trying to hold the line here with Hauntzer on the bottom side. Viper trying to get away from those ghouls there, jumping back, escaping the kitty cage. But meanwhile, it's FlyQuest. They're taking out mid lane Inhibitor turret. Inhibitor now under fire. Golden Guardians, can you make any kind of a play?
It's going to be tough. I just don't think they have the damage to win any sort of 5v5. And when you drafted for split push and you can't win 5v5, Baron buff forces you to answer the other team, right? They force you to actually come and group up and take that fight. So Golden Guardians, they need to do some sort of desperation engage, but I think that they're pretty much checkmated at this point.
This is what we were talking about last game with you just have to go in. You have to try something. Even if you're just almost guaranteed to lose, it's surely got a higher win percentage than just waiting to have your base demolished. Golden Guardians already down 8,500 gold. FlyQuest baroned up, 5 men strong at the Nexus turrets, and they are not just gonna ask nicely at the door. They will run these down, putting the damage into them with the cannon minions. Number 1 is already out of the picture. True Shot Barrage finding its way on to 2. Contractz trying to make it happen, goes into the stasis. There's your combo, but there is no wombo. Golden Guardians are way too far behind. A double kill for Pobelter. He'll go into the hourglass to keep himself alive. And Golden Guardians will fall at the Nexus. The stairs of the fountain will barely keep Deftly alive as FlyQuest make their way onto the Nexus itself and will tie this series up.
Got a series on our hands here. FlyQuest punching back, looking so good in this second game. It really felt like Golden Guardians had no answer to the Swain. They did not hard commit to playing those side lanes, to just non-stop being in the side lane, chasing the Jayce around, trying to knock down turrets, and they had no answer in the 5v5, so it felt like FlyQuest really was in full control and playing in such a comfortable position for most of that game. 0 deaths on Pobelter's Swain, 12 out of 14 kill participation. This guy was the crux of the war effort here for FlyQuest. This is what the entire game was built on for them. It came up time and time again, and if Golden Guardians want to draft a composition like this, they're going to have to be afraid of that Swain or ban it or play differently because nothing worked for them this game. And I've got to say, I'm expecting Golden Guardians to go back to more what we perceive to be the comfort for Froggen, right? High DPS, scaling late game style, mid lane champions, because those are things that can deal more, certainly Wet the Swain, and I do think it's more in his wheelhouse. He looked so good on the Karthus in game 1. He had some good roams in game 2, but certainly was nowhere near the presence that he was first time around.
Yeah, you want to see Froggen on a cannon in the mid lane, putting up some DPS numbers, hard carrying the team. We'll see what changes they make going into game number 3, but for now, the State Farm analyst desk is standing by to share their thoughts on game 2.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We've got ourselves a series as FlyQuest strikes back in game 2 to even it up at 1-1. And Crumbs, I'm coming to you first because you had some requests of the team for their champion select. Did they deliver?
They absolutely delivered. The Tahm Kench was the first ban. Love to see it. But the Lissandra was also taken quite early from the side of Golden Guardians this time around. So I think that champion is something that's going to determine this series from now on, because why is Lissandra so good? She's good because she sets up ganks really, really well. Roams, very aggressive champion. But her laning is not the greatest. So these teams are not playing aggressive enough to take advantage of Lissandra, and so they're losing the laning phase as a result, losing out on mid lane pressure, and then it just trickles over everywhere. And so I think that this draft and this game was an indication of Lissandra priority beginning to drop in this series.
Yeah, it went from first to third. We'll see if it continues to drop from there. The Swain pick-up was a huge, big, like, that was how FlyQuest basically won this game.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people have actually been banning in Academy and other places around the world. When you see the Lissandra taken away, at some point you want to ban that Swain. They had the opportunity to, and they actually went for the Syndra and the Zoe, which I think was a mistake by Golden Guardians.
Yeah, perhaps a misstep there. I want to jump back up to the top lane, though, because as we had some criticisms of Viper in game 1, his first playoff series here, jumps on the Jayce, and very quickly did it look like this game was going the way of game 1, with advantages taken by Golden Guardians early on the top side.
Right, and I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about Viper. He seems a bit nervous in this game or this series. He recalls with 3 corrupting pots and gives up lane control here. And then as you see throughout the game, he'll make a few amount of boneheaded plays that you really shouldn't be doing. But I think it's just because of nerves. And once he plays a bit more into the series, I think he'll get better and better. You'll watch this TP here where he does an EQ combo, point blank and misses it. If he hits this EQ combo, Pobelter has all authority to follow him up, and Viper can move forward too, and then it'd be a huge win fight for Fly. Like, he misses the point blank EQ.
Right down the middle, baby.
Like,
woo! Great field goal.
You got a field goal, but you don't want to see that. And
Great point.
Wrong sport.
Right. So if he shores up a few of these weaknesses, I think we'll see a lot coming from him, because despite these downfalls, he still comes up far ahead in the game later, right?
And I think that's the thing people always get confused with Viper when they see carries and he's playing all these aggressive things. Viper's carry strengths are actually not through his laning phase. It's his ability to play carries in the mid to late game, which is where a lot of other carry players in competitive struggle. And so it's very impressive for a rookie to play that champion later on. And so even though he died early and he wasn't getting the monster CS leads you're used to seeing on the Jayces, in the mid to late game, he had good TPs, he was in the right position and followed up off his team well. Yes, that does mean it is much more on the other 4 members to make sure they're not falling behind elsewhere on the map, which is what happened in game 1. But if they don't do that, Viper actually does play carries later on very well.
That's how he played Riven, right? You just sit in lane and farm, hit 3 items, and then team fight, wipe them one time, and that's how he used to do it. But I still think that he got a bit of an easier matchup this time around because Hauntzer did not look too comfortable on the Yorick. It seems like that champion is dropping more and more in priority because it seems just too hard for these guys. Maybe just go with split push AD carry Kennen. That's a build that we were seeing a lot around the world. You don't just have to go AP. You can go your Blade of the Ruined King, Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and it does a lot of work that accomplishes the same goal.
Yeah, less impressive performance rather out of Hauntzer than in game 1. Credit to Viper for only dying the one time. You know, we talk about kind of the poor early game start, and then the next time we look at the scoreboard, he's 3-1-4. And to your credit, or to your point, Mark, that's where he starts to shine. But I want to talk about how FlyQuest was able to bridge that gap. You talk about the 1-4 and the importance of the 4 if the 1 is getting behind. And Pobelter was a huge part of FlyQuest sticking in this game.
Yeah, there was the roam up to the top side where they dove Viper. During that time, Pobelter just sat mid and grabbed 3 turret plates, I believe it was. And he's the backbone for this comp in the mid game. Yeah, you blow everything killing this Braum up, but then look at this Swain just running in, tanking the Jarvan. He doesn't care. He's their front line.
They don't need to do the whole lot. JayJ is finding himself in positions where he's just dying without ultis being blown on him. You don't have to commit so much to this fight. And once again, you're going on to Pobelter, but he's so darn tanky. More crowd control abilities used on the Swain, and you're not looking that he has a Zhonya's. Like, that's just not going to work. You're not going to kill him. That's a tank Jarvan. So they're just misreading what their composition is capable of at the time.
Right, and when I'm Viper, this game makes me feel good because they put so many resources in trying to shut me down, right? But then I look at my mid laner, and he's huge, and he's carrying me. So I'm like, yes, I can count on my team to carry me, and that's what Pobelter did here.
All right, well, let's talk about Game 3. Now that the series is evened up, we saw FlyQuest execute on some of the things that we wanted to see from them. I can tell you that FlyQuest will remain on blue side. That's what they've chosen. No substitutions.
Okay.
You're welcome. We need some more nice things.
For your appreciation. I was like, how do I build this segment? It's like, okay, now I know.
Now you know. So, with FlyQuest staying on the same side, what kind of adjustments do we want to see made? You already talked about the Lissandra maybe falling out of priority.
I think we might not even see that picked at all. I think you just let it go, see who picks it, because if it goes in the top lane, guarantee you one of these guys is going to get abused. They're not going to be able to lane it too well. Then if it goes into the mid lane, you're just going to get counterpicked once again. So, and you're not going to be able to find the right place. No one's going for a 4-man roam bottom. Barely any roams to the top side, so it's more about scaling and waiting it out. So just go scaling if that's what the meta requires for this series.
Right, so for the first 2 games, there's a big discrepancy in both of them, right? Both games is kind of destruction one way, like Golden Guardians destroyed FlyQuest in game 1, and then FlyQuest destroyed Gold Guardians in game 2. However, in the second game, I don't believe there's a giant draft discrepancy. No. Like, sure, maybe like a bit of favorite, but it's really close. In the first game, there's a huge draft discrepancy. So moving forward, I think FlyQuest is going to be able to hold the edge as long as they don't do a poor draft like they did in game 1.
Not a draft discrepancy, but maybe a playstyle problem for me is Froggen this year has done a much better job getting out of lane and influencing the side lanes, but that doesn't mean that's actually what's best for the team. Like that Lissandra game, roamed up to the top side, made a good play for his team, but he's not on the hyper carry that we're used to seeing him on. And that's what he's best at. When he plays LeBlanc and roams around the map and like gets ahead early, his team doesn't win those games usually. It's the Karthus games that they win. And so while it's not a draft discrepancy from a power perspective, I don't think that the Lissandra lines up very well for them. So I want to see him on the more selfish champions because that's what he's so good at.
Wait, keep him on Lissandra because we predicted FlyQuest. No, get him. No, keep him on the road.
No, but where's the Yorick? Where's the Yorick at from Contractz? That was sick game 1, right? And now you go back to the draft. It would have worked with Lissandra. Same idea. You essentially flip somebody into your team. Like, why stop something that worked so well?
It was a very different draft from game 1 to game 2. So for Golden Guardians, they might look to revert a little bit back towards game 1, and FlyQuest is going to look to do more of the same. FlyQuest have tied up the series. We'll see who can pick up match point in game 3.